Welcome to Solid Talk Podcast, episode number 14 with Gonzo G. Today, we're going to name this podcast Strikes and Losses. First, let's get out to the strike line with all the striking members of the UFCW, UNAC UHCP, and I believe the alliance, which is US.W, and some that are teamsters. Let's get out to the strike line out in Kern County, where we start off our interviews in Bakersfield, California, and then we'll take you to Panorama City in Los Angeles. Let's go to that now.
Solid Talk Podcast in Bakersfield, California. Bakersfield, we got a strike going on, and we are with the UFCW, Local 770. Now, what's going on, guys?
We're on strike. We started this Monday for the ULP, and we've been out here with the nurses actually in October as well. The nurses have also been out here for 3 weeks. This is their third week. That's about it.
Yeah. I mean, and I will add to add, obviously for, the UNAC, the nurses and the pharmacists, this is their third week, entering their strike, and this is our second day with our members. But our members have been holding on since, the end of October, beginning from November. They've been anxious. They've been wanting to be out here, supporting the pharmacists, the nurses, folks that they work with it every single day in a very intimate, settings, saving lives, saving lives and caring for patient care. So the fact that now we got the two of the most crucial, industries coming together, speaking up against Kaiser, it sends a strong message that something's wrong at Kaiser, right? Something's wrong that is not the same Kaiser as even a year ago, right? A company that, really, promotes themselves as patient care and partnership, but what about their employees? What about the ones that saves lives? What about the ones that gives us our prescriptions? What about the ones that test our bloods, right? The ones that actually saves our lives and are there with us, when we're ill and when we're sick. Kaiser don't care about them. Kaiser don't care about us in general. So we're out here as community members, as patients. I'm a Kaiser member myself, right? And it's time for me to be here, blisters on my feet, right? But beautiful to see that, the community and the workers that, out there every single day, saving lives, standing up for what's right against Kaiser.
Solidarity is important. And if all your brothers and sisters don't stand in the line with you, the company knows that you guys are not united, you guys are divided, and they could take you apart. So any company will see that and they'll expose that. So right now we got two unions on the strike line, right? And it's dragging, right? So we're gonna get what we need. Right now, what are we fighting for right now? UFCW, what are we trying to get?
So we're fighting, number one, for Kaiser to end all intimidation, to end all unlawful labor practices that have committed in the negotiation process. We are fighting to make sure that Kaiser comes back to the national negotiation process because they're trying to divide. So we're part of an alliance, right? We're part of an alliance that represents 60,000 members that work for Kaiser. Kaiser wants, to negotiate individually because they know that if they're successful, they're going to divide the alliance, they're going to divide the strength that the workers have, and, they're going to get away with their greed, right? So what we're asking for UFCW, UNAC, and the alliance is come back to the negotiation process. One of our terms and conditions when we filed the unlawful labor practice was that, look, we'll stop striking, we'll end this labor dispute, as long as you come back to the negotiation table at a national level.
So it doesn't have to be settled. You're willing to end it and go back to work to help the patients, right?
Correct.
Just come back to the table.
National
Table. But they're playing games because for being a nonprofit, they're playing games like if they're like on the stock market, one of those companies, right? A publicly traded company.
Correct.
Well, the union's got to remember, when you vote on the contract, you got to read everything. You guys get to vote on it, agree on it, read the fine print, because these companies will say, here's your carrot, and in the small print is all the details. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to fight. We're going to be on the strike line until this deal gets done. Bakersfield, California, thank you. Solid Talk Podcast in Bakersfield, California. I am with UNAC Union, and your name is?
Stephanie Ellis.
They're called UNAC UHCP, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so tell me, how long have you been with the union and part of the hospital?
I got hired at Kaiser Permanente right after my year of residency, so 2009. I'm a pharmacist, and we were with a separate union. We joined with UNAC UHCP in 2015.
Oh, okay, so you've been. What was the other union before? Was it like a bigger union or a smaller union or?
Much smaller union. We were with the Guild for Professional Pharmacists, and really felt the difference when we were out on our own.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So joining with UNAC UHCP, and even more broadly, because UNAC UHCP is in the alliance with UFCW and several other unions, we really have grown our power and been able to make some great gains in our contracts.
Well, numbers is everything. Solidarity is important.
Absolutely.
And the more the company sees the branding, the colors, the right before a contract, everybody starts wearing their gear. That's when they get very scared. So tell me, what's going on this strike?
Yeah, it's been interesting. Back in October, UNAC UHCP was out on the line for 5 days to show Kaiser we were serious about the things we were asking for in our negotiations. And this time, as of December, Kaiser illegally walked away from the bargaining table, said, we want to pause. We said, no, we want to get these contracts finished. So we filed ULP charges, but we also have decided we needed to take the step of going out on an open-ended strike. So as of January 26th, we've been out on the line and demanding that they return to the table to bargain.
So, UFCW said that if they come back and negotiate to the main table with all you guys were willing to go back to work. Is that the case?
You know, it's interesting because the company I work for now, even though it's the same name, it's Kaiser Permanente, we're seeing very different behavior. So in the past, in 2021, we settled our contracts. We did give a 10-day notice, but that was enough to get the ball rolling.
Right.
And we are in a partnership with them, right? It's a labor management partnership. And so we canceled our notice. We all went back to work, and we accepted 2% wages at that time because it was COVID. Things were uncertain.
Right.
This time, we're looking to recoup some of what was lost during that contract because the economics have changed greatly, of course, in the last several years.
Okay.
And so we told them, we asked if they would open the contracts really back in 2023 before negotiations came to make some corrections just based on inflation, right?
Right.
And they declined. They said, no, bargaining's coming up. We'll settle it all then. We said, okay, then you better be prepared to make some big changes because we all accepted less then.
Right.
Because we want the company to be successful, right? We want Kaiser to be the best place to work and the best place to receive care. And so things have changed enough that just telling us we'll bargain again at the national table, to me, that may not be enough, right? We need to actually get to the table and see progress made. It's not enough to say, let's set a date and then we'll all go back to work.
Let's get some tentative,
we need to see real
some tentative
progress.
agreements going, and then we'll see where it goes, right?
Exactly.
So we're trying to get a bump because, number one, 2020 was unexpected for nobody, right? Nobody knew what was coming.
Yeah.
And you guys were the superstars. We were like, oh man, like they're being overworked. I'm a truck driver, and these guys at Albertsons, Vaughn's, Rouse, they were running all night. 80-hour weeks, every week. And everybody was hurting for toilet paper, you remember?
Yeah.
So I can only imagine finding a bed in the hospital at that time was very difficult. You guys were probably not even going home because of, what was it called? You had to like stay away from your family because quarantine?
Yep.
Quarantining, right? You didn't want to bring home a bug that your family will catch. So
that we couldn't treat and that there wasn't room in the hospital if we needed treatment.
There was no vaccine. So it goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
The point is this. We need to get protections, staffing levels, right?
Absolutely.
We got to get our wages correct. Our retirement has to be correct. And let's quit the BS, Kaiser. For what I'm seeing in the paper and I'm seeing in the news, now they're claiming that the union is threatening its members to go back to work, which is a lie.
That's a lie.
That is a lie. Every member here knows, hey, we're going on strike, we're going together.
That's right.
We're coming back together, we're going out together, right?
That's right.
So tell me right now, for the public to know, let's clear that. What are you guys telling the members as far as right now?
What's interesting is that Kaiser also keeps saying publicly, this is only about wages. Don't let the unions fool you that it's about patient safety and staffing, right? And they keep showing even numbers of what they're saying is on the table, but they're neglecting to mention that for our local UNAC UHCP contracts, we have some newly organized units in Northern California where Kaiser has refused to give them status quo. They're proposing takeaways from their retirement and their benefits. They don't want that to be public, right? And so that's what we're telling our members is we are standing in solidarity with our new contracts that want to join with UNAC UHCP. They should not be penalized for that. That's not legal activity.
Right.
That's another illegal practice Kaiser's engaging
There's a law in
in.
California that they passed that if you organize, they can't retaliate to fire you, right?
Exactly.
So Gavin hasn't passed too many good laws lately, but he did pass that one. So we need all the members of UNAC to make sure they know you got to organize.
That's right.
Every member is an organizer. You know how to talk to people, tell them about what the company is doing to you and what the union has done to protect you, right?
Yeah, no one person needs to know the whole history of union activity, right? Everybody has a story from being in there on the front lines and not being heard, right? Knowing the problem, knowing as a frontline worker what the solution likely is, or at least great ideas of what to try.
Right.
And we need that to be part of the language. So at the national table, that's the staffing piece where there's been a rub. And Kaiser wouldn't agree to let the providers that own their schedules have input in how those schedules are created. They say, no, we have management rights. We don't really want to have to listen to you guys. And that's not acceptable
So
to us.
as of lately, it feels like you guys are not being able to do your job to your abilities because there's like a managerial class that's pushing the envelope. Is that pretty much
It hasn't always been like that, right?
Right.
It's really, that's what we're seeing in more recent years is instead of partnership activity, it's union busting activity.
Yeah.
Instead of having those, we have some great departments across Southern California, really across the alliance with Kaiser Permanente, which is nationwide, right? Mid-Atlantic states, all the way out to Hawaii, where things are working well the way the model is intended to work, where
Correct.
labor has a voice, where the management partners work together. They see the value. It's a relief often I hear from managers
Right.
when they actually release some of that work to the labor force
Right.
to solve problems together. And that is working well in places. That's why I know and believe that it can work. And Kaiser
Right.
claims that that's its business model, that partnership is how they do business. And that's what we really need to see.
They're acting like they're not nonprofit. They're acting like they're like some fortune that has to get publicly traded, and they gotta answer to them before you. But the real owner of this place is the patient. The patient is what makes it, and the care that you guys provide is what keeps that patient wanting to stay here. Because you have competition, you have all these other hospitals that want this clientele, these patients, right?
Yeah, and the way Kaiser's organized, that's why I wanted to work for Kaiser Permanente, right? The company does better when the members are healthy. It's not sick care, right? It's supposed to be a different model. And so we
Right.
would expect the finances to look like a different model. But we see more and more they're aligning with corporate ideas, with shorter visits, less frequent visits, and we're not sure how we can keep our members healthy, which obviously that's the members' goal as well. We want our communities healthy. And we're not being given the time that we need with each patient. Even the education department, we also have with UNAC UHCP our dietitians and educators. They're not being
Family
given.
planning, right, as well, too, no?
They're not
Family
being
planning?
given. That's not with Kaiser Permanente, but yes, UNAC UHCP
Yeah.
has organized them as well. But they're not being given the adequate resources to educate patients on how to keep themselves healthy. They're hiring, maybe unqualified staff where if a person from the community comes in and sees somebody with a Kaiser badge, they figure they're talking to a healthcare professional, and that's not always the case with more recent activity that we've seen. So it's difficult, and really we're making the stand because we believe in Kaiser Permanente. We do want this company to be successful. We believe in the model. We want to see them invest as well. We know that they've been
Invest in your people,
Yes.
and you'll get the best return.
Yeah, and they've been investing in healthcare companies in other states, right, with maybe some expansion in mind. Nevada we've seen, and most recently, and we would love them to expand, right, but only after they've really invested in the patients and communities they're already serving.
Right.
Then it makes sense to spread that wider.
Well, California is its own country. It's the economy, fourth biggest economy. You got 43 million people living here. That's counted. Maybe there's more. But if you know anything about Kaiser, the waits are getting longer.
Yeah.
Now everything's a televisit. I'm like, hey, I pay you to come and see you, not to televisit every damn time I want to see you.
Televisit might be great in certain situations, right? But I heard some examples when we had the staffing committee meeting at the national level about a patient that was booked to have their urinary catheter removed via video visit. And that's not appropriate. That could have just been a mistake, of course, but that's why it's so important for us to have a voice in how
Right.
they do the staffing models, because we know what's appropriate and what kind of care that people need. Yeah.
Well, in Bakersfield, California, we're holding the strike line. They're not going to work until this is settled. To the GM, general managers, or CEOs, or the super nurse that's doing 10 jobs, right? He's a nurse, right?
He was.
Come back to the table and give these people the time and date and what they need. Because when you were a nurse, they gave you what you needed. So don't you forget where you came from. Thank you so much, Bakersfield, California. Thank you.
Thank you.
Solid Talk Podcast, Bakersfield, California. I'm joined today by the Secretary Treasurer of UFCW 770, Danny Garcia. What's up, Danny? What's going on out here?
We're here. We're on strike with our pharmacy techs, our pharmacy assistants, clinical lab scientists, and medical lab assistants. Not only here in Bakersfield, but throughout Southern California. Kaiser has committed unfair labor practices. They have refused to return to the national bargaining table. They've tried to intimidate workers. They restricted access from our staff. So these are unfair labor practices, and we are here to show Kaiser that we are willing to hold the strike line, not only for 770, but also with UNAC UHCP members who have been on strike now for 3 weeks.
So right now we got a lot going on. All the Kaisers are on strike, most of them, right? They have people on front. And it's solidarity. If you're a union, you know that you got to hold the line. Because these companies will definitely take advantage if you're not on the line. So we know that they're spending a lot of money bringing in nurses from other places and people from other states. They're willing to pay almost 3 times as much, but not give these members their contract. I mean, come on, Danny. What's going on here, Danny?
Yeah, we know Kaiser's union busing. That's what it is. Union busing 101. This is a playbook that we've seen throughout history, and we're not going to let Kaiser do what they feel they can do. What we know is that we have patient support. We have the patients reaching out to us because they are frustrated waiting 2, 3, up to 4 hours to pick up a prescription. They're receiving text messages, emails. Their appointments are being canceled, rescheduled further down the line, months out. And, we don't know, but a lot of patients at times need these services. So we're asking Kaiser, do the right thing. We all belong to the alliance. We're all part of the national bargaining agreement. Don't send us individual emails trying to negotiate with separate tables to avoid the national bargaining team, because we know what you're trying to offer now is to weaken us 4 years out from now. So we're not going to stand for it.
Well, that's how it starts. They find where that little crack is, and whoever gives in first is the loser. Whoever blinks first is the loser. So we're going to hold the line, the alliance, right? It's all the unions that are in this alliance. UNAC UHCP, it's UFCW. Anybody else in that alliance?
Yes, we also have teamsters. We have steel workers. We have, I believe, over 40 affiliates that belong to the alliance. There's so many different representation within the hospitals. So we're all united. We have all replied to Kaiser and told them we're not going to be divided. We're going to hold the alliance, and we're going to demand that they return to national bargaining.
Well, right now, it's the weather is still decent, but it could be hot in Bakersfield. It could be cold in Bakersfield. And these members are going to hold the line regardless of the weather. They're going to hold the line as long as it takes. And they want to get back to work for the patients, for the public, for the community. And one day longer that this goes on, it's not helping the company and it's not helping the workers. So let's get to the table and let's get this deal done. Danny Garcia, UFCW 770. Thank you so much for the time, brother.
And shout out to Gonzo here. We need more union podcasts. We need more solidarity among unions. Yes, we can have in-house fights, but when it comes to dealing with employers, we need to be united, whether it's healthcare, retail, cannabis, steel workers, nurses, whoever it might be, we need to be united. So shout out to Solidarity Podcast.
All right, thank you so much, Danny. Solid Talk Podcast out here in Panorama City in Los Angeles area. I'm in the line with UFCW 770, and I am with
Jonathan May.
Jonathan May. How long have you been with the company here at Kaiser?
Going on 13 years now.
13 years, okay. So there's a strike going on. Tell me about it. What's going on here?
Well, we're here in Panorama City. This is our second day, and there's been at least 250 people every day.
So we're on strike. We're trying to get something done on a new contract, right? Your new contract. So right now we got the nurses on strike, the UNCA or UNAC, UHCP. If I messed that up, I'm sorry. And then the UFCW. But there's other unions as well that are a part of all this, right?
Yeah, that's right. We,
Okay,
they're going on their third week on strike now, and
they're
then
on the third week.
yeah, and this is our second day now. So it's we're here, we're out here, fam. So let's do it. We can do it together, guys.
So UFCW, they're active, they're on the line, and the line has changed. Because last week I was on the line, it wasn't like this. You guys are a lot more now. So tell me, what message do you have for all your fellow UFCW members?
You know what? We got to stay strong. We got to be united. Kaiser needs to come back to the bargaining table and talk. Let's just talk, man. That's all it is.
So Kaiser needs to come back to the table and stop messing around and give these people a fair, livable wage. And not only that, the staffing levels. The staffing levels got to be right, right?
Oh man, we're so understaffed right now. We need more help. We need them to get together, and yeah, just need more help, man. Absolutely, absolutely.
Great. Because when workers are put in the right place with the right numbers, everything works out for itself. So out here in Panorama City, the UFCW is holding it down. The 770s are going to hold it down because when workers strike like this, it's a message to the bosses that they mean business, right?
Right, that's right. Together we can do it, man.
When workers strike, workers win. When the workers strike, they win. And when they fight, they win, right? Woo! All right, Panorama City, thank you so much. Well, I hope you enjoyed those interviews out on the strike line. We went out there to Kern Valley, Bakersfield, and we also went out to Panorama City, LA. And talking to the members out there on strike was very eye opening because you think because it's a hospital, it can never happen, right? But the greed is everywhere. If it's run by a corporation or it's run by one CEO or whatever, this person could always not want to give their employees what they want, what they need. And the case of all these people from the hospitals on strike, it looks like it's about staffing. It's about staffing numbers and their low numbers on staffing. They're burnt out from the pandemic. They overworked and they were the stress of not getting proper rest. You can make a mistake in a warehouse and live with it. You could pick the wrong order, or you could scratch a mirror and a big rig. But try handing out vaccines and medicines and shots and give the wrong dosage to somebody, and it could be fatal. So we definitely hope that everybody over at the hospitals of Kaiser, all the striking members get what they desire, what they're looking for, and that the company comes back to the table and negotiates in good faith. At the end of the day, if you're going to do a ULP strike, it's because obviously you have good evidence that the company's been doing something wrong. And by the looks of it, they are. They are. They're telling their employees to cross the line and go back to work and that the union is threatening them. Come on. Be honest. You haven't seen that one place. But that's what they're trying to sell. They're trying to sell all this division to the members to get them fighting with each other and not trust the union. That's the first thing that the companies will do to try to break a union is to get infighting between the members. We really hope that the UNAC, UFCW, the USW, UCH or UHCP, and the teamsters that are part of the hospitals at Kaiser get a fair deal, get a great deal that the alliance can live with for everybody from pharmacists to lab techs to nurses, practitioners, and every type of department involved in these unions. We really hope that you get a good deal. We'll try to check back in with them and see how it's going. Had a great conversation out there with the Secretary Treasurer of UFCW 770, Danny Garcia, and it was a great conversation on camera and off camera. And we look forward to doing that again.
Now, let's move over to the part of this podcast where it's losses. This episode is titled Strikes and Losses. Losses. Well, we've had a couple this week. Pretty heavy losses. We'll get started out there in Livermore, California. Livermore, California at the US.FOODS, Teamsters Local 853 lost a member. He was fatal. He had a fatal accident uh, at work. He lost his life at work, and it was tragic. And his name was Juan Jacobo. Juan Jacobo is a father of five that was a hardworking member, a good member for 853, and they just held his candle light vigil last night, and I was hoping to have one of the reps from 853 on, but scheduling conflicts occurred, so maybe we'll do that next week. But he will be missed, and it's a big loss to his family. Juan Jacobo, you'll be missed, Teamster. Um, we just ask that all brothers and sisters put his family in your prayers. And when they do offer any type of link for donations or support, we'll post them up. If you like to reach out to Local 853, they're up there in Oakland. You could Google it, Local 853 Teamsters. And reach out to them, see if they know anything directly, if they're taking donations for the family. Once again, this was a father of five, and no father should ever lose their life on the job. But that's what happened here. And Juan Jacobo, rest in peace, sir. The other loss that we had this week was also was actually last night. If you remember a few weeks back, I covered in the podcast out of Las Vegas, the strike in Las Vegas. One of the fathers, Jose Lobbos, his daughter was fighting cancer. She had, I believe, stage 3. And I'm not sure what type of cancer it was, but it was a cancer. And well, she lost her battle. Her name was Aria Lobos. Aria Lobos. She was a small child. I'm not quite sure on the age, but she lost her battle with cancer last night. She's the daughter of a teamster, and you know, as a father, as a mother, how hard that could be on us. You know, it's you gotta think about life moves on, but our children are everything. I couldn't imagine it, the pain that the family is going through. But we ask that every member from Las Vegas to Boston and New York to wherever you're at, if you're a Teamster, if you're a union man or union woman, put the Lobos family in your prayers tonight. Give them strength. Give them strength in this tough time. Give them comfort to know that their daughter is in a better place. No more pain. And I just really feel for the Lobos family. I got to know, talk to the father, Jose. Yeah, Jose Lobos is he's a very good man, and from talking to him, you definitely can feel the hard work in the man, and he's going through a lot right now with the loss of his daughter. So we want to put our prayers out there for his family. If you want to help out the Lobos family, I will include in the description the GoFundMe, and if you want to help out the Jacobo family up in Livermore, I will also try to get a link for that one. I'm not sure if there is a GoFundMe yet, but I know that they were taking in-person donations. If you're a Teamster up in NorCal, you can reach out to Local 853. They will be happy to assist you in making sure that the family gets any donations. I close this episode on a sad note. Like I just said, those losses are very big for us Teamsters. One being a Teamster and the other one being a child of a Teamster. It's never easy. It's never easy. It never gets easy. But I'll tell you this, if you believe in the Lord, you'll get by this one day at a time. Time could heal it all. And with time, it becomes a bit easier. I will be back next week with another episode of Solid Talk. If you have anything that you want to talk about, if you want to be interviewed, if you got a contract that's coming up and you want to bring awareness to it, reach out to us at info. I think it's info at solidtalk@gmail. I'll put a description in the bottom here on where you can reach out to us if you want to be on the podcast. Anything that has to do with union, with labor, we will cover it. We'll be talking to our friend Stan again soon in about 2 weeks, or I think next week. But we will be definitely busy. We're covering it all here. Solid Talk. Thank you so much for joining me out there. Make sure that you work hard when you go to work. Protect yourself. Be safe at work. And remember to hug your loved ones. Don't take it for granted. Life is not guaranteed. It's only borrowed. It's only for a time. So make sure that you make the most of it. And remember, respect your coworkers and respect everybody. And most importantly, show love to your family and work hard. Thank you so much. Solid Talk Podcast.